Give thanks and praise, much love, highest respect. So I'm trying to bring a conclusion to the story that I started last night on the Vibrant podcast with Chance Garton and Michael Wan and Jenny Rivers and my homegirl Rachel. Big love to everybody. And again, I'm so sorry for the bad audio. I'm really honored by the fact that everybody tolerated a huge faux pas there. So I posited to Mr. Wan last night that the major arcana may represent ethereal higher realms, the Garden of Eden, if you will, the archons. And if you haven't seen my last video on the significance of Moses bringing down the tablets and seeing the Israelites worshiping the golden calf, and how this encodes the moon pillar and the sun pillar, and how Moses broke up the tablets, the little tables, into little pieces, and how the 14 pads on each hand add up to a 28-day lunar calendar. You might want to go back and watch that. Otherwise, you might be a little out of place with where I'm going with this line of reasoning. So, some of my reasoning behind believing that the numbered cards of the minor arcana represent the mundane, worldly beings, the numbered people, the laboring masses, has part to do with the actual images on the minor arcana as they are toiling, they are working, struggling in the material world. And if you look at the major arcana, they're all flying around like a bunch of divine entities, much like the archons do. And I have many other reasons to believe this is what is expressed in the difference between the minor and the major arcana. I have done some work indicating that the on the analima, that the upper archway of that figure 8 could also represent the minor arcana, and that the lower arch, the larger ring, could be the major arcana. Mathematically, there are some indicators of this. But what I want to focus on is the minor arcana and why I believe that the numbered cards, those who have, citizenship, are doing all the work, all the labor, because they are in the material world, and that it is encoded in the Bible, in the biblical story of Genesis and Adam and Eve being cast out of the garden, the higher realms, higher dimensions, and coming down to earth where they are naked, suffering, and toiling. So, as I mentioned before, the 14 pads of the palm of your hand are very significant, as the palm of the hand is what you create with. It is what you. It is the need. It is the place, the void that you need to fill to accomplish things. And I should point out here, we are going to talk about the number 13 as well. And if you look at the knuckles on the back of your hand, you will count, again, 12 on these fingers and only 1 on the thumb, adding up to the number 13. And so the number 13 is very significant in divine mathematics as well. I'll just say it that way. But we have the 14 and the 15, the 14 and the 13 represented on the two sides of our hand. So I'm just putting those figures, those digits into your mind, and I want to substantiate them in the story of Genesis. So one thing I was hoping to explain was in the show on the Vibrant last night was that Adam, Eve, and the snake all have a gematrological significance that is heavily dependent on the number 14. And so you can kind of see where I'm getting at with my chart here. A and D is a 1 and a 4. This is, by the way, I'm using ordinal reduced ordinal gematria. And if you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's highly valuable, as that is the building blocks of our language, of the structure of the place we are in. So AD is a 1 and a 4. AM is a 1 and a 4 because the M is the 13th number. It reduces to a 4. So Adam is a 1414. Eve is EVE. You get a 545. Add that all up and you get 14. The reason the V is a 4 is because it's 22, the number 22 in ordinal gematria. You add the 2 and the 2, you get a 4. So Eve is 545, gives you a 14 also. And you can see this pattern is repeating. And here we have the significance of Eve being built out of one rib, one half of Adam. She is, she is the AM. She is his other half, which is a 14. He is the AD. It needs to be added. He implies the need of a partner. And she is the AM, the Ma. She is the morning. She is the dawning light, the creation of a bright and beautiful future. If you got a goddess in your life, you look forward to that AM. I tell you what, it's the best part of the day, waking up next to a goddess. So you get the 1414, the 14, and wouldn't you know, you do the gematria for snake. I'm not going to go into the details. You can kind of suss it out for yourself here, but you get the 15125 all adds up to a 14. So we see the 14 pads on the palm of your hand are deeply encoded in these names, these characters that make up the creation, the myth of creation. We're dealing with the hands of God at work. And when I say God, maybe I should be more accurate and say the logos, the word, the logic of the word in the gematria, the wedding between letters and numbers. Letters being ethereal and numbers being material. The ethereal and the material coming together to build the story of Genesis. So we all know what happens. There's a transgression involved, and I'm not going to get into the dynamics of the blame and the guilt and the shame that comes into play, the emotional finger pointing. I'm not going to get into that. I just want to do a breakdown of the logistics of this myth and give it more substance and value, and understanding that the Bible makes up our language whether we want it to or not. So it has truth, it has value, it has fundamental matrix building blocks that are very crucial to know and understand. So we have 4 characters and we have 4 14s. And when we multiply, or when we add them up, the 4 14s, 14 times 4 gives you a 56. And 56 is an incredibly significant number. It's very profound, but that is definitely the number of the minor arcana. And I will point out that the 5-6 is in gematria reduced is a WF, the Wheel of Fortune. WF, Wheel of Fortune card is, in my assessment, this is the gateway out of the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve were cast out. That is the doorway from which they were shown the exit. Let's just put it that way. So what you can do with these 4 14s is you can divide them into the 4 seasons, represented by the 4 angels of this Wheel of Fortune card, the 4 corners, which were once upon a time the fixed stars, the 4 royal stars, fixed in their quadrants of the heavens. So when you put those 14 stations into the shape of the analema, something very profound comes to light. And that is that you get a calendar. You can conceivably yield a calendar from this dynamic. Now, this is where the 13 comes into play, because in Judeo-Christian, Egyptological, and even Native American traditions, the first fruit is always an offering. This is why Thanksgiving comes before Christmas. You must give thanks in order to receive the bounty. So, the number 1 on all of these on all of these cycles, the number 1 is given forth as a you could say as a sacrifice, as an acknowledgement to the divine, to the station of the heavens. So what I have here in these 4 locations, I have the aces pulled out of the 56 cards. Those aces are the ones. They are the number 1. They are the beginning. They're the initiation. This is the cap. This is the first sacrificial goat. And so when you pull out a 1 from all 4 of the stations, these are holidays. You've got the solstices, the summer solstice, winter solstice. You got your fall equinox and your spring equinox. So when you pull out these 4 cards from the 56, you end up with 52 remaining. Those are the 52 weeks of the year. And so that is your calendar. Each one of these numbers, when you pull out the firsts, all of the ones, when you pull out the ones, you end up with 52 weeks of the year accounted for in this cycle of the analema. And something that's really interesting is when you do 364 days of a 13-month lunar calendar, you get 6.5. When you divide 364 by 13, you get 6.5, which is very interesting to me because it is an inversion of the 5 to the 6 mathematically. But I just wanted to make some sense of how the 56 numbers of the minor arcana, when you pull these 4 aces out, it yields a 52-week cycle of 1 year rolling through the analema there. And what I've done over here is I just wanted to show how your standard playing cards can also represent these 4 stations, these 4 corners, the 4 elements, as the hearts are water, the clubs are fire, the spades are swords, and the diamonds are pentacles or earth. You get earth, water, fire, air. And you might notice that I have this cross, the standard crucifix shape, which is indicating the actual shape of the full analema. I don't have my analema to bring that image forward at the moment. But when you look at the analema, you will see how the Christian cross is deeply encoded in this 8 that is in the heavens, in the sky. You will also see the ichthus. When you cut the line at the equator, you will see that the top half of the analema creates the image of the ichthus, the Jesus fish. So, putting all of that aside, I want to do just a little bit of Twilight speak over here. And I want to point out how the word eat is integral to the word create, and even in the word death. And I believe that eat, has to do with to partake, to observe. And it also, in this context of what we're saying with the analema, it has to do with the number 8. And you can hear the homonym of 8 and 8. You create. And when you do the gematria for E plus A plus T, you get a 5, 1, and 2 adds up to the 8. So I just wanted to put these interesting mystical synchronicities of our language into the context of this magical 8, and observing the cycles of this 8 will give you the ability to eat. This is, this is like a farmer's almanac in the sky. And also, our birthday and our death day. These are the two most important. This is your entrance and your exit. The two most important days of your life, the beginning and the end. So when we see the analema, also called the lemniscate, we are talking about this incredibly important Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail. And another phrase that I want to just bring a little more light into is the word occult. Occult. This is nested meanings. All of this is about the nested meanings of these words. Ak is, in German, it is 8. Alt, in Latin, means high. So this analema in the heavens is the high 8, the 8 up above. Also, you could interpret the word occult as the 8 of the golden light, A-U-L-T. A-U is gold, L-T is light. And just one more quick little point here. We have high, H-I-G-H, and light, L-I-G-H-T. Well, Hg is always Mercury. And Mercury has a 88-day orbit. You can see how sacred the 8 is to understanding the movement, the dance of the spheres, the movement of the heavens. A very, very profoundly sacred concept, this infinity sign, which we call the 8. And one last thing, this just was a little doodle that I was putting together. I wanted to do the gematria, ordinal reduced gematria for the word apple, A-P-P-L-E, 17735. And that comes out to a 23 when you add it together, which is interesting because 23 is allegedly the number for chromosomes. But it also reduces to the 5. Again, dealing with the hand. 1 plus 4 is the 5. But I just find that very compelling as, the apple, you could think of this as the first pull, the first movement into the material, the apple, having to do with gravity, with Sir Isaac Newton. But essentially, I I just wanted to kind of put more context to the point I was trying to elaborate on last night with my kind of embarrassing moment there with the crazy echoing. But hopefully this makes some sense and people can see the beautiful significance of the letter intermingling with the numbers and creating the realm that we exist in. So when it comes to the Bible, I think there's a lot of baby in that bathwater. So I just wanted to put all of that into context and kind of bring closure to the point that I was trying to put forward expediently. I needed to elaborate on it, elaborate on that point. All right, everybody. Much love, much strength. Stay warm, stay cozy. Peace.